kids. We're going live. Hey, it's Spence and Deneen live with FluentMCP Saturday. It's Saturday Fun Day. It's usually Sunday Fun Day. Today's Saturday Fun Day, right?
Yeah, I love
Hi,
that.
Deneen.
Hi, Spence.
Deneen, I just saw you yesterday at your wonderful shop, and would you like to give a little introduction to yourself, because we'll put you into context. Today, we're going to talk about how to install your FluentMCP connection to your favorite buddy, Claude.
Sounds good. So I am excited about your new Black Friday launch, and it has just changed the entire outlook of the way that I view my website and getting things done. It's made things go very simple, very smoothly, and the pages that I've been creating are incredibly beautiful.
Our friend Mike just said he's going to check with them. So to put things in context, Deneen and I know each other sometime, but Deneen runs several businesses very successfully, one of which is a physical shop. And she also has been in the trucking industries and other things. But one of the things we did, Deneen is running the full Minute Launch AI system, but because she's really heavily involved with her array of desktop agents, I gave Deneen access to the FluentMCP as well, so she can compare the simplicity of this to using what she's been using, which has been the Claude and the Cursor MCPs, right, through Minute Launch. And so today we're going to, and she's going to give, she promised her honest feedback. We're going to just do the setup of this with Deneen, because this is the thing. She literally, and I love you about this, she was like texting me all week, like, is it ready yet? Is it ready yet? Can I put it in yet? And the reason was because the new Minute Launch Canvas block is going to be included for everybody who uses Fluent's MCP. And it's the thing that lets the guy do the publishing, which is most of what you're doing with this, right? On your website at Shop Sacred Ground.
Absolutely. Claude, who I called Junior, is doing a lot of work, and we are so excited to be getting this new feature. I think things will be going so much faster. Thank you, Spence, by the way, for creating.
Oh, I'm thrilled, because you're one of the good examples of somebody who's like leaps and bounds ahead. And today we're going to share it. So what we also talked about is I'm going to share my screen so that I can be demonstrative of what we're going to do. And we don't have any problems with StreamYard, but you're going to follow along, and we're going to make a live instruction. This will stand as a memorial on the site for what somebody can do to get started. And let's just also set this up a little bit, just because it'll be helpful to folks. Let's define some terms. What is an MCP? Mike, Charlie, Papa. And our friend is in Florida, and so he's there. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to tell our friend here, D and I are on a live show.
Doing the same thing. I'm doing the same thing. I just
we'll
did
talk to him later.
Yes.
Okay. So we were both concerned about our mutual friend. An MCP is like a walkie-talkie or an iPhone. It is a device that has a set of tools so that your desktop agent, in this case Claude or Cursor, can speak to your website. The website has a receiver. You know, like walkie-talkies when your kids break 1-9, baby. You know, it's the receiver that has a set of custom tools for the website to give and take information. So one more time, your desktop guy or girl or it needs a walkie-talkie that has a special set of instructions or tools to talk to the website. And the website has a receiver that it says, yeah, I can do that. I've got the tools for it. And this is the modern way of doing things when you have an agentic tool, because instead of Deneen or Spence or somebody getting on manually and doing all of these things themselves, we can have the tool doing it for us, right? All right. Let me do a screen share, which during my live show is always an event, because I always have this stuff gets weird fast, kids. And I'm going to put us, by the way, Deneen, if I'm looking down, it's because I have to use my laptop below.
Sure.
And then I'm going to also arrange the little doodads here a little bit, just so it fits nicely in my windows. And let's see, I put Claude. So we have two things going on. I know this is a little hard for folks to see, so I'm going to zoom Claude in just a wee bit. And the website itself, this is Deneen's actual website. I'm not revealing any confidences here. We have two things installed. And just to be clear, Deneen is using Minute Launch AI. So you are using my full subscription service, which has all of the features. FluentMCP is installed here, but we're also using, what's important is the Minute Launch Canvas block. And that is here. If you are part of the Minute Launch AI subscription, you simply install it from here. If you are part of the FluentMCP one-time purchase, you simply download it from FluentMCP in your user account area. Super simple. All right. And by the way, Deneen, if I'm ever saying anything that doesn't make sense, stop me, because that's the point. Okay. So once I get the Canvas plugin installed, we're going to do let's set up Claude or Cursor if you have with the instructions. Now, what's the difference between Claude and Cursor? Claude is a desktop agentic tool that is part of the Anthropic Claude suite of things. They also obviously make Claude online. You can use them in the browser, like Hi Claude, or you can even use them in his new whip out side panel. But what's the difference? You cannot do these things through the browser or the whip out panel because the security concerns of Anthropic is your mom and my mom and everybody's mom and dad are going to be ripped off because somebody's going to send some naughty instructions to their browser agent and it's going to download all the money from their bank account. By doing it through the desktop tool, there's a certain number of protocols and securities in place that they feel we're cool with. So do you understand that? You understand that concept, right, Dee?
Absolutely.
All right. Cursor is something I'm going to show you guys, but we're not doing today. But if you are a power user and you want to use Cursor, Cursor looks a lot like Claude. You'll notice I've dressed mine up to look almost exactly like him, same colors. He's over here. I have about 34 different Cursor agents. I have one for everything I do. So if you're a power user, you're going to probably want to do the same thing we're doing here, but just do it with Cursor. If you are a beginner or you're just a normal business owner, and you actually, Deneen said you like Claude better. Claude has the Morgan Freeman in Driving Miss Daisy kind of personality. He's just fun, reliable. He sits up front, takes you where you want to go. The only downside is he's got a very small bladder for some reason. And they've designed him where they only want you to do a couple chats and then switch to another chat window, which God bless them. I don't know why. Okay. So I'm going to activate the Canvas plugin. So step one is whether you've gotten the Minute Launch Canvas plugin through your Minute Launch AI subscription or whether you're just the FluentMCP, either way is groovy with me. You'll notice we now have the Canvas block here, which doesn't require any setup at all, but it's a tool that is available, by the way, for LLMs or for a person to use. In other words, you can use it either way. I'm a little concerned too, which I'm looking here. I think you've got 2 copies of Canvas installed, that's on me, but let's just double check real quick. And then, we'll come to this next. Let's do the setup of the FluentMCP. For the FluentMCP, you're going to go to the tab and tell me if this is big enough, because again, the zoom in is tough, but here we go. Oh, if I zoom anymore, it's going to be crazy. You go to the FluentMCP tab, which should be, it's looking orange now, but I think I'm going to update the icon. It's going to be white. It's just going to say basically Minute Launch. And when you get there, there's 4 steps. So the first step, you could click on the button and it's going to take you to the setup and install. Now for this, I'm going to assume we'll change this for Deneen in a second. So I'm going to just copy this JSON instruction. And the reason I'm going to change it for you is because we want to make sure that this is unique to you. So I'll reset this after we're done. You take that JSON configuration and you go over to Claude and you simply go to the bottom, scroll down to Manage Connectors. And once you do, you will see, and I got to zoom in back out a little bit, you will see a menu like this, depending on how big your screen is. Go to the Developer tab and then Edit Configuration. And what will happen, depending on Mac or PC, is it should reveal to you your Claude desktop configuration JSON file. I don't know if you're doing it with me live on your side, D, but like this is what you end up getting to. You end up getting to the location of the configuration file for setting up this particular step.
Okay.
Do you have the same thing in your end?
I'm just kind of watching you do it.
You're watching me. Okay, that's perfect. So, because you can always use this video for your going back over it. Here's my trick. I actually go to the very end and paste. Now, what happens is, notice we have two things that say MCP servers. This is just a weird, quirky thing, but just deal with it because this is the minimal amount of stuff you have to do. What I do is I delete the bottom two tabs above and the top two lines above. Okay, that's my trick. Highlight the bottom two brackets and the top two brackets and hit delete. Now we need to put a comma in after the last bracket and remove the space. Okay, so I'll do it one more time because this is just weird extra steps, but you got to do it. You paste, you highlight the bottom two present brackets that were there and the top two lines of what you added in. Hit delete again, and then put a comma in. And when you do, there should be no, depending on if you're using a text editor or not, there should be no weird, warning signs or otherwise. And when you do that, you simply click save and you can close the file. And that's all there is to that. But here's what we need to do. We need to restart his brain. So we go to File, Exit, we turn him off. Let's clean up a little behind ourselves. And then we're going to just restart him. Be sure that you actually restart him or end him and restart him, because there's a difference between him just being like closing his window and him being restarted and exiting. So be sure in Mac or PC, you go to the top menu, File, Exit. It makes a difference. Okay, now that we've got that, we go back into the chat. Any chat will do. And we click on the two buttons in the second button in the middle of the chat that says Search and Tools. And what we should see now is something that says FluentMCP and then the last 10 digits of your website. So yours is Shop Sacred Ground. So it's ground.com. And if you click on it, you can see all the amazing tools. They're all lit up, which means we're in good shape. Okay, so let's take a pause. Is there anything that I've said so far that's not clear? Because that's why I've got you here to help me understand.
No, the only thing that you did that was kind of fast that you might want to go revisit is when you went to Claude, can you go a little slower to how you got to the screen where you pasted that information to?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. All right, so let's turn him off. Claude, you're naughty. Goodbye. All right, now let's turn him back on. Depending on what you do last, Claude will typically open to this welcome screen, but you can always get to that welcome screen by, notice this little toggle sidebar. This is the thing that always screws people up. That's the toggle of his extra stuff. But see this orange, this new chat is always available. You need to get to a chat window. Any chat window will do.
Okay.
And then in every chat window, the middle of the three buttons in the bottom are the search and the tools.
Okay.
That's the easiest way to get to the tools. Then if you scroll to the bottom, manage connectors. Now, there are faster ways to get here, but that's the most bulletproof way to get there possible.
Okay.
And then I went to developer, and then at the top of the screen of developer, edit configuration file. And that's where I opened up that JSON file, and the rest is history.
Okay.
Okay, and now we're going to go back to the chat. Now, here's a tip. Anthropic has recently updated their memory systems. Thank God that if you've not done so, set this to on, and this makes a difference in how he works. If you go into your file settings, you will see under capabilities an option for memory systems. Search and reference chats, generate memory from chat history. Now, I think you have to be at least on Pro. I don't think this works on free. This is what makes it possible for him to actually not have to have a project in order to have any concept of what's going on. Previously, a week ago, you had to be in a project, which is still a good idea, in order to get him to have any common sense whatsoever. So I still recommend projects are useful, but memory has to be on for him to be a good guy, right? And you've experienced this yourself, right, Deneen? Because
Yeah.
your guy has a real personality. He thinks you're his mom and I'm his dad.
And that memory thing that they just did was that was a game changer.
It
That he
really was,
will
wasn't
look
it?
through all the other projects and figure out what you're talking about. I mean,
Yep.
it saved so much copy and paste time, and it's great that they did that.
What's interesting, because I offer auto memory, which is a $300 a month option. Auto memory brings things to another level because you can have 1,000 agents all understanding what's going on as a team. But like for an individual, this memory upgrade alone made Claude much more useful. If they would fix the 200 token context thing in chat in the desktop, he would be brilliant. I mean, his personality is awesome. Cursor has other advantages. Like Cursor, you can interrupt him and he doesn't mind. I mean, from a workflow, Cursor is more productive, like running a professional trucking business fulfillment. But Claude is more like your personal assistant. He really has a continuity. And also, it's worth mentioning that even though we're setting him up for an MCP, he's got a bunch of other tools. And let me show you with the projects. If you go to projects, let's make a new project called, we'll actually have some continuity here. So we'll call it FluentMCP Lessons, okay? When you do a project, you can have special memory requirements, instructions, and actual files, which think of it like he's going off to get training. This is a place where we can have specific things that are outside the bigger context so you can focus on just these topics, right? What you always need to do is tell him what's going on next. And we're going to do that because the tools are built into FluentMCP. But first, I want to show you, notice these other tools. You can turn on all kinds of amazing connectors for your Gmail, your calendar, your file system, things that make him really empowered to run your business when he's using the website as well. So it's not just the website. It's like, hey, who's my customers who just bought something, who got an email or they had a customer service issue? And now he can make things for you based upon that info. And you've experienced that, right, Dee? Like you've already been working with your connectors?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So step 2, now that we got the configuration, add your AI assistant. And we just did that step here. So we did open settings, developer, edit, config, JSON. Step 3, restart. We've done that. So I'm trying to make this really super easy. So now we're going to go to test and configure, which is your major thing. It's kind of weird because I have steps inside of steps. The first thing is verify your MCP connection. So all you have to do is copy this, go to any chat, like we're already in the project, and just paste it in. And let's see what he says. Now, notice I didn't introduce myself or anything. I'm just like, hey, dude, what's up? And he will probably recognize me because I've, imbibed him with stuff. But when you start in a project, it's nice because it's almost like a clean slate. So he's recognizing, awesome. You can tell that he's recognizing because see, it says Fluent Community, Fluent CRM, Fluent Cart, Minute Launch. He gets it. He knows now. And by the way, Deneen, this is the difference, isn't it? Because your guy had tools. He had a walkie-talkie that predated the existence of Minute Launch Canvas Block.
Yep.
And it didn't have any of the special tools for Fluent. So your guy was like, what you talking about?
Right. Totally. Yeah.
Right. Because he didn't understand what was available. This guy does. And that's why you're excited, I think, to be here. And you told me, let's do this. And I'm like, okay, so now you can use him. But if you do use Minute Launch and you've got the current MCPs, I had suggested you might want to just toggle them off. Here's a tip. Notice I've got a whole ton of old client sites here. Not old, but like from a day ago. These are all WP MCP, Minute Launch, and this and this and this. Notice I just turned them off with the toggles. That's all you got to do. So think of it like if you gave your assistant 2 walkie-talkies and you're only at one of them, it would be much more helpful to them if you just told them, turn the other one off and focus on this one. That's basically what I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Next, here's the drumroll one. Let's copy the onboarding prompt. And this is the one that is going to give them a sense of like, what's really going on here. So we first asked him, what does he see? And now we're telling him, okay, you've got some MCP tools, focus on these and let's do some work. Notice also it gave him the URL of your site at the bottom so that he specifically knows which site to focus on. And this has been helpful. This came from a lot of trial and error because somebody might have been working on a few sites and they ended up with like the tools like, where do you want me to do it? What? Where what? Okay. All right. Now this is the fun part. There's simple run commands. This is the part where I go, I got to do this, right? I have to use my sound effects. I think this is. Okay. List all WordPress. Okay, settle down, people. Settle down. All right. We got to list all WordPress users on this site. This will be the first test to see if he knows and can do the things we need him to do. So when this happens, he's going to give you a no, yes, or always. Always select the middle one, because then he won't have to bother you again. And there's 126 things he could bother you about. So you don't want to have to sit here waiting to click the button all the time. You got a lot of users on the site, so he's picked them all up. Awesome. Let's go to the next test. You do not have Fluent Community, so this isn't going to work. So we're not even going to ask for that, because that would be like, what? You don't have the plugin installed. You don't have Fluent Cart, so we're going to pass on that one for you too. But
yeah, I use WooCommerce. Yep.
Well, I do not have him set up with WooCommerce in this tool. The other MCP does have WooCommerce. He can actually work with WooCommerce in this one, but I didn't give him an example, but we'll see if he understands. We'll come back to that. Let's do the Fluent CRM though. Sorry. So in other words, like these are specific to the Fluent MCP tools, which we don't use WooCommerce and Fluent MCP. We're using Fluent Cart because it's a special package. So we'll do something for WooCommerce because he can extend into that too. So I don't want him to get all your contacts, but let's change. I said all. We're going to stop him. Let's hit the stop button and let's change that, because show me the last 5 Fluent CRM contacts, because you have a lot of contacts. We don't want to sit there and watch them dump out thousands of people. Okay. So I think that's a good enough example. And I don't think it'll say anything that's going to get anybody in any kind of permissions trouble here. So this is talking to your CRM, which is really powerful. And you can make stuff for certain people based upon whatever. Now, this is interesting. This is where the Fluent CRM needs to have an API turned on. We have not turned yours on yet, but I built into him a special bypass. Let's see if he figures it out. Otherwise, I have to turn on no big deal. I have to turn on the Fluent CRM API that is otherwise not enabled in your site. Let's see if he figures it out. I'm going to tell him what the point is and see if he knows it, but let's use my mic here. Hold on. My mic is always off. Okay. Now my mic is on. I have to do this weird thing. I have to reset my mic. Sorry, kids. This is real live TV. Stuff happens. My whisper mic goes into off mode whenever I do the StreamYard. So let me turn it back on. Okay, let's try again. Hey, Claude, I forgot to tell you this, but we have not set up the REST API on Deneen's site, but you know what? You have the ability to bypass it. There's a special bypass built into the MCP so you can still get to all of the contacts. Can you try that, please? Let's see if you can see that in the tools itself. Now, you guys wouldn't need to know that because normally you'll just turn on the API, and I can turn on the API real quick for Deneen, but I just want you guys to know that. Oh, okay, so he's not seeing it. So let's actually, I'm going to show you guys how to do this for using the Fluent CRM contacts in Fluent CRM. And I've got the site here. We go Fluent CRM Pro settings. And it's a weird thing, but you need to have somebody who's not the administrator act as a proxy. So you go to REST API, and again, don't know why they did this. It's just weird. We need to create a manager, right? So let's create a manager. I do not know why that is. I have to talk to the guys about this. It's just very bizarre. Let's actually make a new user for this. I just make a fake name manager. So I go to users, add new, and this has nothing to do with the Fluent MCP. So I'm just going off into la la land, but I figure we might as well make this comprehensive, right? So I'm going to just call this test manager at test.com. If you're watching this, don't do this. Make something with a real password and stuff. But I'm going to do this and delete this. The reason I'm saying you can do this is because then you'll know how to do it. But don't do something like the obvious, don't make the password test and stuff. I'm just doing that right now because we're going to delete this when I'm done and it won't make any difference. So you can just make them a subscriber. This is just literally a proxy so that the API has somebody other than the administrator to attach to. I have no idea why. I have to talk to Shah Jahan and the team. Okay. So now I'm going to go back over to the Fluent CRM. You got so much good stuff here. I got to find it on the menu. Fluent CRM, settings, and then we'll just try again now. We'll use that manager. So manager, notice manager right here. Add a new manager. We're going to use that test person. It's interesting. I think I was supposed to make them something on the back end. So I'm going to actually use Melissa test. It doesn't make a difference. Let's just pick somebody. Oh, here it is. Test user at test.com. All right. Next, you really don't need to give them all the permissions for this because you're not necessarily going to use them, but I'm going to do it anyway because who cares? There's lots of powerful things. And if you don't want the Claude or Cursor to do all the stuff, don't give it the extra capabilities. Now that we've got the manager, now the API key will work, which is, again, really bizarre. We're going to call this FluentMCP, and we're going to associate it to the test user at test, and we'll have a key. And I'll change these after the show. So we're going to give the key to him just in case he uses it. Test user at test. And we're going to say, here's the key, test user at test.com. I'm going to say, we've enabled the REST API, so you should be able to work normally. Let's do that test again and see if it works. So I'm not suggesting you have to give out your API key to the Claude, but I'm just trying to, for the sake of argument, demonstrate that there are certain quirky things about Fluent that are probably for security reasons that you have to go through in order for him or you to use the tools. That's just the way it is. In this case, interestingly, he's having a little hiccup. If you have a hiccup, we can either try to reset him or it could be some other quirky bug. So I'm not going to worry about this terribly much because this is one of those issues where if it comes up, let's try the first thing. Let's restart him. If that doesn't work, then it's a spends to fix thing, which again, I just released this yesterday and it worked fine in testing, but sometimes I find these bugs through experiences with real customers. So let's turn him off again. And this is what I do when this goes bad. I turn him on. And Deneen, you've had this happen too, right? Like you've literally called me sometimes going, he's saying he can't do it. I'm like, yeah, he can do it. He can do it. Just tell him he can do it, right? So watch this. Sure. I'm going to be like, I'm not in the project either. Hey, Claude, it's Spence and Deneen. We were just talking to you a minute ago. We're trying to test out the REST API connections through your MCP with shopsacredground.com. Can you try to connect to the contacts at that site? Let's see if this gives us the result we want. Think of it like in the real world, you hired somebody new, you gave them some instructions before lunch, they got hungry, they ran out of coffee. They're like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Then they go to lunch, they come back, they're a genius. That's basically what's happening. Let's see if he has better luck. Nope, he's still got a 403. So let's just double check if there's anything else that we can check for him. And he's helping us with suggestions. Is it enabled? Are the applications created? Now, that's interesting too, because he doesn't really understand what's going on. But he also says that does the REST API user have admin level permissions? Now that's interesting because that's pass. So I just got done telling everybody it shouldn't be an admin.
Right.
Let's do something really unusual here. I'm going to go to that user, and this is probably something that I will smooth over after this call. But you know what? I don't care. I talk to people all the time, and you know me well enough too, that it's better for me to see things as they are in the real world when I'm testing them. And people have said to me, you know what? I feel so much better. Oh, Here's the problem. Look, I actually selected the wrong person. That's probably what's wrong. It's better for me if I screw up in public and show these things, because this is an example of it. I actually selected the wrong role. He needed to be something on the team level, right? And the other thing too is in the API, I don't think I actually chose test manager. So let me double check my work here. I'm going to do two things. I'm first of all going to just make him, let's not make him an administrator. Let's just make him an editor, and it's test manager at test. So let's check my work. And by the way, this is live, so it's not like it's recorded and I can go back and fix this. I have to roll with this or not. Since I screwed that up, admittedly, let's go back and we're going to go into the Fluent CRM API. And again, this has nothing to do with the Fluent MCP, but since we want him to manage the Fluent CRM, we just have to deal with it. I'm going to go back over here to manager, and let's see if I got that person as the manager. And I do not. So that's a spend screw up. Let's make the proper person the manager. So I'm going to use this email. And now I'm going to do it. And maybe I need more coffee too. Maybe lunch. So now I've got this person as the manager. Now I will check that that is the person associated with the API, because I'm going to, I don't think I can actually edit this one, but let's see. Since I can't edit it, I'm just going to give a new one, and I'll delete this one. This is interesting too. See, it's creating an application password for that person. So I cannot edit that one. I have to make it associated to the right person. So I'm going to call this again, FluentMCP with this person's name. And now the right one, this should all work. High fives to me. Okay. I'm going to save this just in case I need it. I'll just copy both these. I don't think he's going to need it, but we'll find out. Okay. Hello, Claude, my friend. Guess what? I made a big boo-boo. I need some coffee. I associated the API to the wrong person and somebody who didn't have an API key. Here's the actual user. It's testmanager@test.com. And here's the API key. I don't think you actually need it, though, now that I've turned on the API, right? So I'm just using human words to ask him. And let's see what he says. Haha, that's a classic move. We've all been there, especially before the first cup of coffee. Okay, so he's still talking about the MCP server configuration, which is hilarious because there is no need to do that. So actually, there's no need for you to update the application and password through the connection, because you can just do that dynamically. The tool is built for you to be able to use the REST API. Can you retry? And if that doesn't work, I'll start you over again. So he's asking me a question that normally you would want to make like manual calls with the API. He can do it himself. Let's see if he pulls it off. Okay, I'm going to start him. And if this doesn't work, we'll move on to the most important thing, because for a lot of people, managing the CRM is a big deal. But like I say, I'm willing to take a risk here and go into another video after I sort out whatever it is that he's hiccuping on that one. So let's just see if we keep the motion going. We're going to say, hey, it's Spence and Deneen. We're back. Can you see if the REST API is working with your Fluent MCP so that you can connect to the Fluent CRM? Third time is the charm. Okay, he's still hanging up, so I'm not going to worry about this one. I'm going to have to take a pass because it's not worth it. Let's do the more important thing. Let's go back to where we were, and let's talk about the publishing, because that's the meat and potatoes for you. And for that, we've got the Canvas block. And I also want to make sure that we have the version that is proper, because for some reason I saw that you had the version 2.78 installed, and I want to make sure you have the version 3.0.
Do I have two of them installed or just one?
I think that's possible, because what I was giving you was the version that was installed, dynamically. At the same time, I think we already had the one that was installed manually, because when you're with FluentMCP, you don't have the dynamic updates. You just get it through, regular download. Let's see what we got. And it's all good either way. I just want to make sure he's using the right one, because if he has the old one, he's not going to be able to connect, I'm sure. And I want to have a successful launch here. So we do have two of them. So notice he's got 278 and he's got 3.0. Let's turn off the old one, which was manual. And we'll just delete that. And that way he will not be confused, I hope.
Yes.
I had a good show yesterday. I actually got him to connect just fine to the API and everything in Fluent CRM. So these are just examples of, we're like that old Louis C.K. joke where he's like, man, I'm on the airplane and I can't get my high-speed internet to work. And it's like, dude, give it some time. It's got to go to space, right? I mean, we're really pushing the limits here. So
you know what, also, I do want to interject really quick, Spence, is that it's great that when you do those, because I wasn't able to watch all of it, that they are on YouTube, so I can go back and watch it again. So thank you for doing that. It's very helpful.
My pleasure. But I actually, like I say, even on the live Friday shows, I have a pretty good rate. It's not 100%, but when I fail, it's good, because a lot of people said to me, I don't feel so bad. Because like when everybody has it all polished and perfect, it's like, oh, what's wrong with me? Because I couldn't get Claude to do it. This is not perfect science whatsoever.
Right? It is not. You got to work with. You have to work with your Claude, definitely, and get a relationship going for sure.
Absolutely.
And he totally needs nudging.
He's very funny, because when he's naughty, and he's been naughty when you and I have been talking, we tell him stuff like, you're not getting your allowance this week, and he gets the joke, right? Okay, so we're going to go back into the project, so that now I'm going to be back here. I'm going to say, okay, listen, make a note for the future, Claude, that we had trouble connecting to Fluent CRM for some reason, but I want you to move on now to the minute launch canvas block. And I'm going to give you a set of instructions here that'll help you understand what you can publish. So what you should do is, I put in, like I did for the FluentMCP, if you go into the canvas block, and this is where I have to refresh, because somehow your canvas block looks like it's not showing up in the menu. But this is also, again, me pushing it right before we started. I may actually switch you back to the manual one for a second, because for some reason it's not showing up, and I don't know why. Let's see. It's always something, Deneen, isn't it? All right, yeah. Let's do this. Let's do, I'm going to deactivate this here. I'm going to put the manual block, the proper version in, just so we can do this for the show today. When you have this new version 3.0, it will show up in the menu properly, and it will give him what he needs to do. I just wanted to show you guys that there's a set of instructions you can prime him with in the very same way. Okay, so to turn this off, if you've got Minute Launch itself, is in the Minute Launch dashboard, you can just deactivate the plugin, and it's right here. Oh, that's fascinating too. I think what's happening is, I think you've got, actually, because we deleted something, I'm going to pull this screen for a second. I'm going to fix this on the back end. I think you have something left over from when we were messing around a second. Let me just clean your directory. I think you got a folder that's orphaned there, Deneen. Sorry about that, but that's just because I was working on your site right before we started. So let me delete the folder, and I think that's probably explaining what's going on here.
Okay.
Sorry about that. You know, again, back to what I was saying, it'd be wonderful if I could just be so awesome and perfect all the time, but then everybody would be like, this is too easy.
By the way, while you're doing that, Vince called, and he is all good. He sent a beautiful, oh, wait, I got to show you this picture, Spence.
Oh, okay. Show it on my regular text so that we don't share it with everybody in the world.
Oh, I'm sharing it. It's
Vince
okay.
in a bikini, I'm sure. Our friend is in Florida, I think, right?
It's Vince catching a huge fish, and I'm going to show it on camera.
Oh, good. All right. It's Vince DePinto. Yes. Vince, who's been on the show before, by the way. So, all right, hold on. Minute Launch canvas block. Okay, I don't see it there. So I'm going to try something weird. I'm just going to install this manually anyway, and then we'll get on with this, because, again, I don't want this to turn into like a distraction. I wanted everybody to just see how quickly and fun this could do when we're 30 minutes into a conversation and I haven't actually done anything fun yet. But that's why it's live on a Saturday.
And these days do exist, and it's okay. You need to be patient, take some deep breaths, because what we do now, even though it gets frustrating, is going to have huge success and make things so much easier with the work to come. So it's part of it.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is this is just the system itself is well established. This one update is just literally you're the first person live with it besides me. So I expect there's always a couple hiccups here and there. All right, let's see if the manual plugin installs properly and shows right, and then we'll see it in the menu. And that's all we need, really. Okay. And we should see what I'm going to give him, which will be a set of instructions so that he understands, like, he's got a publishing tool and all the cool stuff that he can do with it. And we now have the canvas, which is awesome. So that was part of our issue. Something with the dynamic one just didn't install it. Notice the same thing. Look, I've got this tool that says for your AI assistant. Just copy and paste this prompt. Okay. So this is how I'm trying to make it easier to get him started.
Go a little slower. What did you go into to get to this prompt?
Okay. So for this, when you have Canvas installed, it'll have the ML Canvas menu. And then the first thing you see, besides, you know, just in finding it, is here's how you tell him to make stuff, right? He also noticed, he said, I'll make a note about Fluence here. I'm perfect. I fetched the API documentation, understand how it works. Now he has it. So now he can make all these things and he's telling us what he can make. So let's do something cool. All right. I'm going to say, let's do a simple test of a beautiful HTML5 page. Make something that says hi to our audience here on the live show that we're doing, and do something that's in the same style and theme as the rest of Deneen's site that you're on at Shop Sacred Ground. Be clever. Do not make it look like some silly LLM or AI thing. Make it look like Deneen's site. So
now you said you went to ML Canvas, right?
This is ML Canvas. And if you reset, it's down near the bottom because it's sorted by M's.
Got it. Found it.
Okay, good. So he's creating a page. I'm going to cross my fingers here, but I think this is going to be 99% of what you want to do. Notice he did some research and he went and found some things about your site that he's going to use for hopefully making a pretty page. Something like, I can tell what he's doing because I can see a sneak, but hello, beautiful souls, and so forth. So he's building it with the CSS inline. So when you do the minute launch canvas block, you have two options. You can do HTML with CSS, or you can do the HTML and the CSS separately. If you wanted to do it separately, it's really convenient. Let's say you have one design that you want to use for 100 pages. You can just have the one CSS block in your, you know, additional CSS thing of the theme, and then all the pages will use that default CSS. So it just saves how much extra styling you have to put in every page. But there's nothing wrong with doing it all in one block either.
So I went in as we're talking and I copied and pasted this into Claude, and he found ML Canvas block API version 3.0.0.
Perfect. That's what it is. So let's see if he's actually, this is interesting. Now, I wonder what's going on because he's running into problems with the API. So I'm wondering if this is interesting just because I had no such troubles on the other side of things. I'm wondering if there's just something about your particular setup that's quirky today, which I have to find because he was able to connect to the other stuff. Let's check to make sure he's still connected here. And he is. But it's weird that he can't find the block. So let's see if he gets around this, because that isn't something that should be a problem. He's getting a 403 on everything. Now that's fascinating to me, and not necessarily in a good way, because he shouldn't be having this trouble. So let's just see what happens. Hey, Claude, I'm fascinated as to why you're having trouble. Can you access other things still? Because I'm wondering whether or not you're having some other difficulty outside of the FluentMCP. Can you still see all the users on the site? I'm going to override what he's doing right now just to do a gut check, because this indicates to me that something is quirky. He shouldn't be failing on this. Oh, sorry. He didn't get my message. So I'm going to do this here. Hold on. I copy and paste that again. Let's see if he has a good answer for this. Okay, so he's connected partially. Let me see if we go down here. Oh, wait a second. I do know one thing. Interestingly, but this shouldn't happen. We didn't use the license settings. Now, this is something that you wouldn't normally need to do. But remember, I'm going to just suggest something. This is kind of weird. You are a Minute Launch AI customer. I didn't. Oh my God, now it's striking me. Okay, I know what happened.
We forget a key or something?
The Minute Launch AI customers are on my systems. They have a bypass, they have an override so that all of these tools work without a license key because you're already a subscriber. When people are buying one time, lifetime, they have to have a license key. Guess what? I did not install here because you're using a system that isn't really set up yet for Minute Launch. It's set up for independent. I forgot to put in the bypass of the user key. That's why all of his APIs to the good stuff is turned off. Let me do that right now. 1 second. It's a suspense moment.
That's okay. That's why we're doing this, right? So
this is why we're doing it. It's all good.
It's all good.
I'm just going to put the bypass key in, and I bet you everything will work fine.
I don't need to do that on my end, right? Once you
no, this is strictly because you're the first test case, and I just brain farted on the fact. Remember, I said to you before we started, this isn't ready for the Minute Launch folks yet, and you're like, I want it, and I'm like, okay, you can be the first person to use it. But in the same time, that left me hanging here with what I just did, which is I forgot to put in the bypass, because otherwise what would happen with me is I'm selling something that's like lifetime access. Somebody would just give it to 1,000 friends, and then what would be the point, right? So it's disconnected unless you have either a valid key or you have the bypass that I have as the administrator. So hold on 1 second. 100% sure this is what it is. And I've got the key right here, but I'm doing it off screen. So obviously,
no problem.
I wish I would have reminded myself of that before, but I stick by the same conversation, which is, well, guess what? The cool thing is that I figured it out, and that's the way it works. And we get to see that even Spence has his moments here.
Maybe you should have that cup of coffee, Spencer.
I had a good one to start, but like these are the things that I was working all day yesterday, and I had all these things happen, and now I just have to remind myself of the processes that I built. Okay, so sometimes that's what happens in the evil genius world. I'm going to put this in here. I'm saving it. Now I'm very excited to see what the difference is. Hold on 1 second. And pull you up again on my screen. Sorry, guys. Sorry to keep you sitting here. I'm looking for my StreamYard screen to see you. I cannot see you, so hold on to me. I don't know why. For some reason, you're still there, right, Dee?
I am. I'm here.
I can't see you anymore. I think you're stuck underneath this window somewhere. Hold on
I am here, though.
What's that?
I am here, though. So.
You're here, but I just lost the StreamYard window, so that's what's killing me because I cannot see where you're at. Oh, I see you now. Okay. Let's cross our fingers. I think we're going to have good luck with this one. Okay. Hey, Claude, guess what? I realized something, that this is the first person to use this new system. And normally people would buy and get a key from FluentMCP. But since Deneen is already a Minute Launch buyer and subscriber, I need to use my special systems that I haven't set up. I put in a bypass in her configuration now that allows you to use the API. Can you try again? And then if not, I will reboot you. I think this will work. Oh, he's spinning. That's a good sign. It's a good sign. Spence's caffeine levels have just elevated 14% just from there. The fact that he's spinning means he's doing something, right? We know that from experience. So let's see. And if he does that, then we're going to go back. Yay, yay, woo! I'm going to edit this whole video back to this spot. We're just going to go. Okay. So now that he's succeeded, we're going to go back and do the Fluent. But let's see what he made first. And let's share it up here. I don't know why he gave it to me in his little private window down there. Okay. He made this hello, beautiful souls. Out of darkness comes light. You know, you've got the look and feel of this kind of blue and purple. Here's what's happening under the hood. If we edit the page, we should see, hopefully crossing fingers, the canvas block that has the HTML and CSS in it, so that you or I or any human could also edit it. Here it is. Here's the CSS, and here's the preview. And what's neat is you could edit this text, and you could edit the words you want, right? You can do some changing of the styling. We're on to something, Deneen. We're on to something. So now let's give them some tips. What, for example, in the editorial, okay, it worked. That's fantastic. By the way, since you did that, can you real quick see, can you now show me the last 5 contacts in the Fluent CRM? I think he's going to do that. What do you think, Dee?
I'm hopeful, Spencer.
This is also a good example of how it's working. My roller coaster is like, I know I did it. I'll zip past these people real fast, but the idea is, okay, fabulous. Now, just to get him off the screen. Now, let's ask him to do something else. What is a use case for you that you've been doing? And we can see how we can work. Like, for example, you were talking to me yesterday, you're editing some pages or doing some stuff. What was the main primary goal today for you?
For me, I'm building a brand new website. So I have a duplicate homepage, and I am going in. I had done Spence style when I was building it before this came up.
Right.
So if you go to my home 2 page,
okay,
I think
so
that
you go home 2 or home -2?
This home 2 page on here. It made some beautiful pages, but now we've got to take those pages and we have to migrate them to this new system.
Okay.
And so that's what I was need to work on.
This is kind of irrelevant unless you're already on Minute Launch, but we were using in Minute Launch an earlier version of the canvas block called Spence style. So if you edit this, this is how you move the content over. We edit it and you'll see just the Blaine Gutenberg editor with nothing in it, and you'll see the Spence style at the bottom. Now, actually, I take it back. This is the wrong page because this has Gutenberg blocks. Is this what you were working on, or?
No. So you have to sign into the Spence part of this. You and I.
Well, I see it here at the bottom, but you also have Gutenberg blocks, which confuses me. So
I think he was trying to go through in the beginning and move it.
Okay, let's do this. Let's delete all your stuff. Here's what we do. If you go here, notice she had some Spence style at the bottom. This is like the original thing. All we need to do is just let's put in the new canvas block. So /ML canvas block. And you just literally copy and remove the HTML. Copy, and I'm doing Command X, the CSS, and just paste it into the 2 matching boxes. And then you can decide to hide the header, hide the footer, make it full width, hide the page title. that takes care of all the canvas layouts instead of using Cadence for the theme. Like normally you could go into Cadence and do all this stuff. It doesn't matter anymore because now you could just do it right from the block itself, which is kind of cool.
So something was weird because when you went into Home 2, that is not what my page looked like.
Well, maybe I'm on a different Home too.
Okay, so this is more like what my pages looked like.
Okay, so we're on to something. Now, here's a question.
Yeah.
Is he built in originally a cool header? This is not your normal header, but this is actually super cool. And this is what you've got on your old settings here. See where it says disable page title. Let me show you though, if you put all of these things to default, you don't need that anymore because now with the canvas block, you can just manage that here. Hide header, hide footer, hide page title. Do you see the difference? And why is that? That is so your dude can manage all that stuff and not have to go into Cadence to do it. Does that make sense?
Kind of, but I'll have to.
Let's do it again then. Let's do it again. Cadence, the theme, has a whole mess of controls on the right.
Yes.
Hide your header, hide your footer, make it full width.
Yes.
Hide the page title. We want your dude or dudette to do it for you. So by having those controls moved into the block here.
Oh, I see the block. Okay. Yeah. Instead of page, you go to block. Okay.
It's just you're on a laptop. It's small.
Yeah.
That's how we give him full publishing control. And now we've got pretty sweet layout here. You did some really nice work with him. So now
even the bottom part. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Now this is interesting. So let's give him this page. Okay, watch this. I'm gonna say, okay, Claude, here's the thing. Deneen had been working with your cousin and made this awesome page at this URL. I want you to go get the HTML and the CSS from this and then make a new page based on this. Call it like New Home 3 and change the layout, change the colors, do something remarkable here, but basically keep the same content. Show us something awesome. Now, we can be more specific, but I want you to use the style and the theme of Sacred Ground, but look at how cool and modern this is. Just whip this up into something that's clearly unique and then give us the new setup. So basically what I'm saying is when you start using this tool and you've been doing it yourself with the cursor and the Claude, you don't have to be prescriptive, but you could specifically say, go to this page, do this thing, make this stuff. But a lot of times what I'll do is I'll give him those other templates from the skills document, be like, I need a sales panel. And here's what I mean for the folks who are still with us or watch this later. If you go to Minute Launch, I've been building this skills library. And one of the things was like a series of really optimized, proven sales pages, right? So if I go here to sales page layout library for Vince DePinto, or just let's go to the default one. I've got a bunch of layouts here like hero, problem solving, feature showcase, social proof, right? Yeah. I could just give this skill to him and I could say, hey, by the way, before you're done, go to this page and look at the sales page, use the number 4 social proof master and the number 3 panels and make some new panels with those. So what I'm saying is hold on, use this info here as the basis for building some new content. And he's going to apply, my back is hurting. He's going to get those layouts and he's going to merge it with the stuff you've got in the style that you started and make something really unique. But see, what he doesn't have to do is guess at what you want or how you want it, because this is like ordering off of the menu, right?
So I need to ask a question, Spence, which might be kind of redundant, but I just want to make sure I'm clear.
Yeah.
Now with this new home 3 page, this has the new ML canvas and not the Spence, right? We've migrated over.
He is not imbibed with any knowledge of what Spence style was.
Okay.
So he will not use Spence style. But what we need to do for you, Deneen, is you need to go back and remove all of the stuff from Spence style, copy paste it into the matching blocks of Canvas block.
That sounds overwhelming, Spencer.
How many pages did you build?
I probably built 15 to 20.
Then we could just ask the dude to do it.
Okay.
So let's see if he'll do one of the pages. First of all, that's a funny answer because I respect your thought, but at the same time, It takes literally seconds.
I,
So
I I understand, but for me, a layperson who does not live in this world but is trying to understand the world, when you just say that after I spent all that time, I,
okay.
so that's why we're here doing this. So you can show me how it.
Let me show you again, and just in fairness to your response, I mean, your response is legitimate. That's why we're doing this video, right? So let's pick a page that you have that maybe had spent style. Okay. So if we go to pages, all pages, give me a page that is something you think has spent style, and I'll show you while he's working on his.
Spence style would have had Addy. Go to
Oh,
Addy, tarot with Addy. So it'd be at the top of
AD,
the list. A,
AD.
sure. ADIE.
Okay. I just sorted it in date order, but I'll go back to alphabetical. Okay. So let's click on Addy. And it's really this simple. Step one, you need to just put the block in place if you're doing it. Now, this is interesting because, again, I don't know what you're doing here because you've got the old stuff and you've got the new stuff. So what happens with Spence style is it would have been a merger, Spence style above or below. If you want the old page content, oh, I see. That's what you're doing. You see how it's got Addy at the top, and then
Yes.
it's got the new stuff below. You can
Right.
still do that if you want.
No, I didn't want to do that. I asked it not to, but every time I made a page, it did it anyway.
Well, the reason is because here, right, before, after me. Okay, but let's just figure out how to do you want to keep this old stuff? We can
No.
save it. Or are
No.
you done with that? Okay.
Done.
So bye old layout. Step 2, /ML canvas block. Put the block in. That's it. Okay. Step 3, go to the first box for HTML and say Control A, Control X. Scroll up to HTML, paste. Right? So just move the HTML. Step 2, copy, cut, and go up to the CSS, paste. That's it. Now you're done with Spence style. It doesn't even matter, but I would uncheck the boxes because while you're still using Spence style, it could work. Step 3, do you want to show the header and footer of the site? I think you do.
Yes.
You don't want the page title, and you want this to be full width, I'm sure. So
Yes.
just set those 2. Save, and you're done. That's it. So literally rinse and repeat 9 times. Maybe what did that take me? 22 seconds, and you're done. So he could do it for you, but this is the kind of work that, quite honestly, it's almost like easier to do it yourself. And there's, by the way, that looks freaking awesome.
Thank you.
So I love that. And I love, like, this is a great point, right?
Okay, so this is what it's doing too. If you scroll down, it's showing 2 footers, and I have not been able to successfully get rid of why it does that.
Where's the 2 photos? What do you
The
mean?
footers, the footer.
Oh,
It's
that's because you got to use this option. Hide footer.
Wait,
You're showing the site footer as well as the custom footer. This layout you built has a footer built into it. You see what I mean? Like the design of the page that you got your guy to build has a footer.
right. So the light blue one all the way at the bottom, I don't want anymore.
Okay. So what we have to do is 2 things. First of all, the way that he did the footer here is unfortunately using the same class as the normal footer. So we can't hide it as easily because it's using the same CSS as the name. So the way we have to do this one, unless you change the design he made, is just go into the cadence and hide the footer here. Okay. That'll do the same thing. But the point I'm making is when he makes the footers, you don't need to show the footer on the whole site. We could just turn it off, or you could do it per page by using the toggle. Because if you're making the footer into all your pages, that's going to cover your needs. See, now you got just the cool custom footer. Does that make sense?
I'll have to re-listen.
I'll say it again. When he built this page, he made it with a footer and a header. You have the default theme header and footer, which if we try to turn it off, the problem is the design uses the same CSS name as the default site one. So by turning it off in his design, you're also turning off both of them, but you want one of them.
Right.
And the way we do that is, okay, fine, let's just turn off the one from the site and leave his, and you're good to go. And by the way, this looks awesome. So, all right, now let's see what he built. And I'm excited. It's all working out. Oh, that is gorgeous. Now, remember what I told him to do. This is an amazing example about using like templates. I said, order off the menu. I think I said a social proof, right? I said a number 4 and number 5, right? He said here, layout 4, social proof master, layout 3, panels. He redesigned this thing. This is crazy cool. Crazy cool. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. That is amazing. And he did the 2 panels. Let's compare, right? So if we look at the top, this is the part that I'm trying to express to people. Like, I don't think, even if you're a professional, and I know how to do professional, you're not going to keep up with this. Okay. So he said, number 4, social proof master, join 10,000 happy customers. Let's see. He also put something, by the way, in the top. He actually, on his own, he put in the hero call to action, I think, because that's what this looks like.
I had that hero call to action too.
Was that part of your original page?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. So he took it from you. Trusted by thousands. This might be the
new. That's new.
That's the social proof master.
That's new. Yep.
And then
that's new.
Okay.
That's new.
Right. And then
upcoming events was there.
Right. But he did a different style. I think you've got the page here. This is yours, right? So he restyled it. So he had actually, I kind of like yours too, but I like the fact that he did it all dark and mysterious. He did the layout slightly different for that. The trusted by thousands, that's the social proof. Upcoming events. What about this one? Is that? And then he did the panels. So what's the panels look like? That's feature showcase, product name, and whatever. And I think that's the difference because, right, you have this.
I had the photo gallery, and then I had that.
But you don't have the products in there, right? That's new?
No, I didn't have products.
Okay. So I'm really fond of this design he did, but that's not the bigger picture. The bigger picture, I mean, I think I would ask him to fix the map. I like the map, although this is cool too because it just opens up to a Google page, right? Which is probably awesome for a phone. Here's the thing. We now praise him. You're such a good boy. No, okay. First of all, love that. Love that. I want you to save that as a skill and also keep this as a possible template for Deneen to work with later. Here's a crazy cool thing I want you to do. Use the style of this and imagine that Deneen had a customer in her CRM and you can see it who purchased something or another. Make a custom page for that person based upon the stuff that they bought that is kind of along the same lines, but introduces to them things that they might also want to buy. But don't make it look like a typical page. Make it look like a custom invitation to them and show us what you do with that. So this is an example of how they could take the data from your CRM, know about the people, what they've bought, and mix and match it, even if I don't tell them which templates and stuff to use, with something cool, right? Like maybe I could tell them I want a comparison table or a story sales letter or a video sales letter or a lead magnet opt-in or whatever it is. The point is, the skill is go get the data about the person, use the design that you just showed us that's awesome, and make something new and unique from that.
Now, Spence, while we're waiting for that, I've got a question. So we've got upcoming events on here. When I did this in Spence style, I actually had 6 upcoming events. And at midnight, I had it go into my calendar and pull different events so that it changed out every night at midnight. The other thing I had it do was I made sure that it didn't duplicate practitioners, and I had a lot of rules in there and a lot of skills. Now, will that just come, can I just tell Claude to do the same thing for this, or are all those skills in there automatically?
Awesome question. Awesome question. Now, let's talk in terms of walkie-talkies because that's what makes the difference. The Minute Launch AI has about 112 different plugins with custom capabilities. Like the instructions and the tools are built in, at least They're not all finished yet, but they're WooCommerce, FluentCRM, WP Fusion coming launch with all those custom instructions and tools are what are built into the proprietary system. The Fluent CRM is a limited subset of those. So back to my point, you, Deneen, as a subscriber to Minute Launch AI, which by the way is, I'm just going to ask you like a loaded question. What's the value proposition to you as a shop owner using this of the $197 a month?
Worth every penny.
I mean, it's like crazy over the top, right? The value.
Yeah, the value is crazy over the top. Plus, I get to call you. Plus, you give.
Okay, but let's be fair to everybody else. You get to call me. Normal people get to email me. And when we started a relationship, talk in terms of fairness.
It was all email.
You have emailed me before.
Yes, for sure. Yep,
so
absolutely.
The point is, I'm going to put words not in your mouth, but the value of the system and then my availability via email. Can you comment on that?
You are very quick to respond. And again, the value is worth every penny, honestly, because there's so much that I can do that I don't even, it's like buying a brand new car and getting in it. You have no idea all of the features it has. You have to kind of learn them as you go. At least that's been my experience. Right. And I've been incredibly happy with, as I need things, it's already there. I just had to learn how to access it.
Okay. And I appreciate you for that. I make it a point of being really in a personal relationship with all my clients, and some of them are only email. Some of them do pay for time. You and I know each other personally, and I'm easier to get to that way. But like, even for people who are just regular email customers, if they've ever gotten stuck, I've oftentimes instantly made them a video. Sometimes I'll hop on a Zoom. I can do that kind of business now for a larger scale group of people because the tools make it this easy. And today we proved out a couple things. Having your assistants to show me like, oh, remember I had to do the bypass thing. That was really a big deal. I only get that because I have these human interactions, right? I'm not in a vacuum somewhere in space. Second of all is in terms of this limitation, even though technically the FluentMCP is buy it once and it's crazy value forever, the Minute Launch AI gives you the kind of everything goes opportunity. But we're going to see whether or not he can still do what you asked. I want to be fair. I am intentionally limiting what the FluentMCP can do. So there is a value proposition difference. But even though it may be $197 a month, you get hosting, you get unlimited access to Spence with email, you get all the traditional plugins. I mean, it wouldn't be fair to just have a one-time purchase for $497 equal what the other thing does, because that's like a sandwich versus running an IKEA. There's just,
and also when you subscribe, I have found when I subscribe to you through the monthly that as my business grows, so do my needs, and being a monthly subscriber, that flows perfectly.
Thank you. Yes. And I appreciate you for that, because one of the reasons that I've been spending so much time building these systems, and I still feel a little bad because there's one person who I owe bringing into the new world who's left from the old world, is that I was running into a personal liability. I'm 59 officially. I'm feeling great. 60 is going to be like the next 20 plus years are going to be awesome. But there's only so much Spence capacity at the computer. And so I needed to build these tools. We were joking about it. I have a guy who's doing updates. I have 100 guys doing stuff. That is the future that I think we all need to embrace. And you are amazing because you've embraced it as not even necessarily you are technologically adept because you ran a lot of computer businesses in the past with shipping and fulfillment, but like, you're not like coder level, and yet you're killing it. Right. Okay. Yeah. So, all right, here's what he made. He made, again, in the same style. I'll zoom in a little bit. Maybe he made in the same style this for Lydia. Sorry, Lydia, but like, we didn't give you your address. It's like a letter that says, I've chosen some things especially for you, Lydia. Here's the selenite wand, and here's the sacred rebels. Now, what's amazing about this is, look, it's even got a personal signature from Deneen. Imagine you have all the knowledge of your customers and the things they prefer and what they bought and when they've done and where they come from. Here, I'll give you the link here, D, so you can like look at it.
Looks amazing.
But the point is, look what he's done. He's put in a package. I'm going to paste it in your text here. He's put in a package that she can just go ahead and claim this and do this. Now imagine your tool, your assistant is programmed to understand what everybody loves and does. He put those things in there specifically like it was written from you. Now, is that disingenuous? No, because what I would do is I would say at the bottom, I would say with infinite gratitude and light, Deneen by way of Junior, her personal assistant. Because when I ran a law firm office and we had about 15 lawyers there, I had a person who ran the desk. I had all the assistants. I was running about 25 people operation. Nobody thought that the lawyers were writing the letters. They knew they had legal assistants and secretaries. I mean, that's just how it went in the old days. And so what I'm saying is, if you present this awesomeness and it's from you, but by way of your assistant, that actually, I think, makes you look more professional and more honest, right?
I'm reading this because I clicked on it from what you sent me. It is amazing. Even what he wrote in the beginning about making it so personable and, I'm blown away at this, honestly.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we can do another version of this. Watch this. So, I mean, just shits and giggles, right?
I mean, he's not really doing the images correct, but it doesn't matter.
Okay, but let's tell him what's not right about the images, because we're gonna have him do one more here.
Okay, so selenite charging wand, he's actually showing an image of bumblebee jasper. Premium amethyst cluster, there's no image in there at all. And the oracle decks, he's showing jewelry.
But you have images with your products, right? So if we did this again, let's watch what I do. Okay, high five. You're killing it today. Love this thing you did. There's two things I need you to understand and improve and make a memory and a skill about this. Number one, I need you to use real products from the WooCommerce. You can access that even with your limited tool set. I think you have those standard APIs. Use the real images and the real products, and now do another person from Deneen's CRM and make a different but similar personal invitation. But this time, make sure that it's the right products with the right links to add them directly to the cart, as well as the right images. But make a second page for a new person to show us you've learned what we're talking about. Is there anything else you want to add before I tell Junior?
No, I think that's good. But to his credit, though, I don't know that if you go into the media library, it's
let's go to your shop. This
the
is what we need to
images
do.
probably aren't labeled.
Hold on. Let's give him a fair shot at it, because you have a shop. Well, where is your shop? First of all,
it's not live.
Oh, you don't have a shop.
I don't have a shop page.
Well, then he can't do it right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Spence. I don't think that he can
shop page. He can't do it. Okay. So we got to be fair to him. Okay.
I'm just building it. So there is a shop page, but it's not live.
But it's not actual products from WooCommerce, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, well then
you can go into and find my shop page.
Yeah, you got this weird shop 2 thing or something. But let's just grab the actual products. That's what we need. Because otherwise we're totally not being fair to him, because it'd be like telling an employee, like, do this thing, and then the tool doesn't exist under the hood.
Right. That's why
I don't want to show you details of your site exactly. So I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to WooCommerce products. Oh, here, products. Let's see if you have products. We just need to know that you got some products, and he can get your products. But see, none of these things have images in them. So that's why you're not getting images. Why don't the products have images? Are they just not real?
There we go.
Here's some images. Okay. But not all of them have images? Is that because Vinny was just hand making the images, or what's going on?
There looks like an awful lot of products on here that he and I have not put images to because we didn't have.
Okay, so I'm going to tell him that. I'm going to say, listen, there's a ton of products without images. Pick some products that are live that have images. Use the database and see if you have good luck. Now, I'm interested to see. Let me add in this one thing. I'm interested to see what he does, simply because he's not supposed to have specific tools for WooCommerce, but he does have tools that are generic that will probably allow him to look for this. And that's what he's doing right now. See, he's got a tool that says list content, but that's not a specific WooCommerce API tool. Oh, now watch what happens. See, he shit the bed here a little bit. Sorry, kids. He ran out of memory. This is the Morgan Freeman has to go to the bathroom. He's driving over to the side. So what we do is just go back to the project and just paste it again. And I don't think he needs to be reminded now because like the memory has been improved. So if you're in the project, he still keeps going, which is kind of nice, but it's annoying. You still have to go to a new project, but at least he's continuing, right?
Yep.
All right, let's see what he does. He's going to see if he can access the database. Notice this. He's kind of having a little trouble because he's not set up for it to get to WooCommerce because he's not supposed to. This is set up for Fluent Cart. If you were using Fluent Cart, it has the cool stuff, but he still does have some tools that I think he can get around it. But this is where my value proposition differs. Can you go to IKEA and do stuff even if you didn't buy all the IKEA stuff? Maybe. You might have to build a few things yourself that look like IKEA though. And see, this is what he's doing. He's going in circles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. So I'm going to give him an out. Okay. Hold on one second. Okay. I let you off the hook. We were just discussing, you're not supposed to see WooCommerce. I was testing you because you don't have those MCP endpoints. You may have some tools that let you get around that, but I'm not going to worry about it. Deneen understands now. Once she gets this set up and uses the proper version of it, you'll be fine. Just make another page for another person, but use some of the images that you can see, either in the media library or otherwise, and make sure you do the rest of the instructions as well. Okay. Now, Deneen, I'll tell you what you could have done, even with FluentMCP. If your shop page had been live, he could have just gone to the page and looked at it, and then he would have gotten everything he wanted, right? But you just have a double whammy here because we're asking him to do stuff without the tool, and also he doesn't have a shop page to go to. Plus, this is an example of, I don't know why that blew up, but this is where Claude gets weird when you make him do a lot of research, because the way that the tools work, it's like pulling stuff from your website and, oh, that used up all my memory, sorry. And it's easier when he uses his tools to browse. So let's see if he gets it. Okay, he's got a couple images. He'll just use them. He's making the page. We're all good now. A lesson to be learned here is, and you've done this before, once you start doing stuff, if you've got the public shop, if you got the public pages, you just give him the URLs. He can take a snapshot, and that doesn't cost any tokens. If he has to hit the database and go and pull a bunch of stuff out, he's measuring the use per chat of how many tokens, how many words. That's where it becomes inefficient, right? Mm-hmm. A picture is literally worth 1,000 words of chat. All right, let's see what he does. So what's interesting to me, though, we're going to try after this a couple other interesting skills. You do not have a Fluent community. It doesn't matter. But you do have the Fluent CRM. So what he should be able to do, though, is draft a campaign. And that's going to be really remarkable. We're going to take what he did and see if he can do it as a campaign. And that is a skill set that is really useful, especially for somebody who's got customers, because imagine like you set up an automation that he does after somebody buys something, after somebody comes by, after somebody gets an email, after somebody clicks a link. That's a super cool skill. And in the future versions of this for the minute launch customers, I'm going to have what you use as Fluent Booking. You have the calendar. You have all these things that could be automated for him to do, right? Based upon a unique person or thing. Okay. He's made a new page for Michael Chen. Let's see what this looks like. And I'm just copying and pasting it so it's faster. Let's see what Michael got. Interesting. Very cool. Different. Notice still in your style. Book your session, right? Now, this just says contact and stuff. And there's a couple things that I think he could work better on. Like he clearly could center these buttons. But interesting, right? He recommended group meditation, sound healing journey, energy sessions.
Yeah. So Michael must have bought like practitioner stuff.
Exactly. And we can probably ask him or you can see what he did, but
yeah, it's fine. I get it.
He offered a 20% discount with a coupon. And so, okay, now let's try something else and then we'll wrap this up because it's an hour and a half. But I feel like first of all, thank you for your time. We really covered some interesting stuff because first of all, for me, and then also some of the things about using the tool, but like the setup was pretty smooth, right? We can acknowledge it wasn't that hard to get going. It was just once he was connected, what are the things that he can do? Okay, here's the last one. I'm pretty sure that I've given you tools and skills for Fluent CRM's automations. Can you take not Michael's, but the previous personal letter to Lydia, I think it was, and make it a Fluent CRM campaign using the HTML5 publishing capability, as if we were going to send it out to her based upon triggers from her either visiting the shop or her having purchased something else. Now, I know you don't have WooCommerce set up, so that's not a problem. Just make the campaign in HTML5 based upon that other personal page. So what I'm suggesting is when I send out my emails, I use this cool format that, by the way, we just did, for example, this morning, spencerforman.com blog. I have 4 or 5 days a week of blog posts with videos. And then I kind of like this one, this picture of me as the Greek scholar thinking of what happened this week. I do the weekly review. And this is really interesting because it's not only on a blog post, but it's on the email that matches. And this lets somebody go and review. He also can do the sales pitches and the special things like the referral. I'm giving a 20% referral on Fluent CRM. Everybody you bring in, you get 20%. So it's $97 on $497. It's what is it, $297 if they buy a 10 pack. That's a pretty reasonable referral for just sending your friends to a tool as awesome as this, right? So the point is the email and the summary are the same stuff. And this is what can be done in Fluent CRM. You can set up different templates, different things that when people do things, he knows to use that template, but customize the content and send out a specialized one. Okay. So let's see what this last one is. And then we'll call it a successful session after a bumpy first start. And by the way, I love this. I think this is super cool. I was actually at your shop yesterday. So I have a peacock feather in my car now from your mom for good luck. Okay, let's see. It's kicking out. Now, what's interesting too, when I moved everything to HTML5, we are able to standardize stuff. So the same content, not necessarily repurposed, but like we don't have to worry about, oh, you did it on this website with this page builder with this weird quirky stuff. It's just in a box, either a single HTML CSS combo or HTML CSS separate. Those are 100% universal, transportable, usable anywhere, anytime, right? So he's actually having a little hiccup on the get campaign or send campaign. I don't want him to send it. So I'm going to tell him to make it as a draft. I don't need you to get or send a campaign. I want you to just create a draft. You can use the email template or campaign template if you need to. I'm not sure which tools I built into him, so I'm just going to give him a head start here. I think he thought he literally wanted me to send it. And I do think I'm going to continually upgrade and improve these even for the Fluent CRM because I just threw these out here. I didn't have a chance to test them in real world situations with a lot of different customers. One of the things that's interesting to me also with these things, like when, let me zoom back out on this. When we use these navigation menus, he does these really cool one-page things. So he actually there did a different, but in this case, services, these are actually different pages. A lot of times though, he'll do it like on the single page and, you know, scrolls down, like you kind of hear he did this, and it scrolls down. That to me is actually quite efficient. I'm not sure why this one's a little wacky. This is your shop. So when Vince gets around to fixing this, this will look a little more normal, but right now something's just squished. But the point is, I like how I did that on the Fluent CRM page. I mean, the FluentMCP page is we just made it essentially like a one page, right? So if you want to learn more or buy now, it just goes to a panel. I think that's oftentimes just as good as separate pages. All right, let's see finally what he did. He created a CRM campaign, full HTML5 email template. Let's go on the back end of your site to look at that. because it's not published on the front. And for that, we go to Fluent CRM campaigns, right? Or did he do a template? He did an email template as I asked him to. So here we have two of them, personal invitation and post follow-up. Let's see what he did. Now, interestingly, there's nothing in this one. Let's see if he succeeded with this other one. Now, what's interesting, did you put it in a campaign or a template? Because I don't see it in the campaigns, or maybe you saved it as a template. So I'm going to look there next, but just tell me before I send that to him. Let's look at the email templates and see if he did it there. Nope. I think he just didn't publish it. Okay, so I'm going to have him do this. This is an option too. I'm not sure what's wrong with the publishing, but I'll look into it after the show. Can you just give me the HTML5 that you would have done, and I'll put it in there manually to show everybody. So what I do when I do mine, I actually just have him hand them to me, because when I use Cursor, this is my actual Cursor guy who publishes. He is, actually, I got to call him up because he was sleeping. So I'm going to call up new window. And here is the dude who does my publishing, which now I got to give him a new name. It's this guy. I put him to sleep after he was done for the day. He just did my email. So with him, you'll notice, see, I'm keeping in this folder all of the stuff he's created, the blog posts, the email templates, the YouTube descriptions, and that way he can call them up and constantly refer to them. Another advantage of Cursor is he's got a little bit more large scale capability. His whole job is just managing my publishing, but Claude does a darn good job of it. You just have to probably use folders and projects, right? So we'll see what he does here, and then we'll call this Uncle. I'm hungry for lunch. My back hurts from sitting. I have a hot tub, which I put the new pump in I put the hot tub in the garage, and it was at 79 degrees. I'm hoping it hits 104 before the day is out, but okay. Here's the thing. This is all I do. I either create a new template or create a new campaign. You just do it from scratch, and you do HTML5. So in Fluent, there's a choice to the right called HTML5. Simply paste in and then hit the preview, and magic ensues. Here is essentially the gorgeous email that would get sent out to somebody. And obviously you can edit it and do more, but then you just do template title, gorgeous blue personal email. Why is this useful? We don't have to put a subject, but we go, from Deneen. This is an example of what he would do dynamically to create just an email on the fly. So just like he published a page, I'll check out what the reason is he's not doing it. I think it's, by the way, I think it's the API thing again, but nevertheless, this would be something that he could just make and send as he goes, right? Mm-hmm. Bob came in, bought something, send an email. It's somebody's birthday. Make a personal thing based upon what they know and what you've given them or what you've done. Hey, happy birthday. That kind of stuff. That's how crazy easy this can be. And I don't understand how anybody would think it'd be better to use some kind of system. You can put scores in here because when people buy stuff, do stuff, you have different tags and templates. What's their lifetime value and so forth. All right.
Now, Spencer, is there a way to integrate my Square into this?
Your Square?
Mm-hmm.
But are you using that with your WooCommerce?
No, I don't. I use Square as the register, but that holds a lot of information. I'm just curious.
I don't have a good answer for you because I don't work with Square directly, but if you had Square's API, it could possibly be connected. I would say it might be more interesting. Why don't you use, I know you use Stripe, why not use Square with your store as the gateway instead of Stripe? That's possibly a way to merge those worlds. I don't know for sure, but here's your short answer. If Square has an API, or if Square can output stuff like a webhook, Square could send every time somebody buys a webhook to Fluent CRM, because Fluent CRM has an API connection here. And that could be used for doing what we're talking about. So if you go into Fluent CRM, I'm not going to do this for everybody, but if you go in here, for example, under settings, there's a webhook, incoming webhooks. With Square, just like with WooCommerce, if somebody buys, it could send a message anywhere, including here, that says what was bought by whom and why. This could be used to then trigger an automation. Notice over here, let's pretend we made a new automation. We call it Square. I'll call it bought on Square. All right. And notice the things. What is it that we want to trigger? CRM, tag applied, contact birthday, et cetera, et cetera. Well, we would need to have something that's a webhook. And I think here we need the tag applied in the webhook. So I'll show you in a second. But like, let's say a tag was applied from the webhook. That could then know exactly what to do, send out an email. As far as the webhook is concerned, this is beyond the scope of today, but I'll just give you guys a sneak peek. If you went over here to Fluent CRM settings, when you do make a webhook, it can give a tag after the webhook is applied. So watch this. So see where it says like Square webhook. Add the person to this list, add a tag. This is where you would make a new tag called, purchased on Square or something, right? And then what's the status? They're subscribed. If they got a webhook that caused this to add a tag, that could be what triggers the automation that sends out the email. That's one way of doing it. Okay. Another way of doing it would be just some other way that you got the information into the CRM about the purchases, which could be importing like once a day or something, if there's a CSV output. I don't know. Those are the things, by the way. That's a good example. And I'm going to switch you to us talking mode here. Hold on. Now that we're done with this, move you up. Hello. This is what it looks like. Side by side. That's too big. Okay. That's a good example of when you get into the higher level Minute Launch AI, we can have conversations where, hands-on or otherwise, there's tools available that you can use. That's probably beyond the scope of the Fluent MCP stuff, but it's nice to see a comparative. Like one of them will work with Fluent Cart out of the box. Perfect. Another one is like, well, I can connect to WooCommerce. I can do Square. I can do all these things, but somebody still has to give you a little advice about which parts to buy here at IKEA to decorate your living room. Okay. My back says it's time to go. I can't thank you enough. That was an hour and 37 minutes that I think we had some real gems in there. But now you go set up Junior. And I need to give you you don't need the bypass key. I put the bypass key into your site config file. So Junior will be able to access it without the same hiccup. Let me know.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dee. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Stay with me, Dee. I'm just going to end the stream.